To discuss the latest developments in the Middle East and assess the growing military tensions between Iran and the United States, we are joined by Victor Bruno, Geopolitical Risk Analyst, joining us from Brazil. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Sir, my first question would be that since Washington and Tehran both are acting defensively, from a geopolitical point of view, what do you think? Who is gaining the most from this conflict and who is actually driving this escalation, sir?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. It's evident since February that Iran is the one who stands to gain the most because, well, the U.S. strategy is based on a show of force. I don't agree with fellow analysts who think that this is big stick policy. You know, big stick was the policy that the U.S. used in Latin America in the early part of the 19th century, which is basically we show force, but at the same time we will talk to you. That's not the case that's happening here. Every time Iranian diplomats sit down at the table with American officials, something bad happens for Iranians. So Iran is in a war of survival. It can draw out this conflict for as long as it wants. It costs them nearly nothing if you're excluding the human capital cost. Whereas America is losing face from the credibility side, from the side of from the viewpoint of military strength and of bargaining power. No deal lasts. No, the currency of American word is depleting, but depleting in value very, very quickly. So this goes to show everything that has happened since last week goes to show that the MOU, the motion of understanding, was completely was a total fugazi because America doesn't have an end game. What is the American end game? It's very hard to tell what America really wants, other than toppling the Iranian revolutionary regime and finishing its nuclear efforts.
All right, sir. With tensions rising around the Strait of Hormuz and reports of attacks on military and commercial targets, what are the potential regional and global security implications?
Well, we can see that Iran very probably will make the next logical move, which is extending the conflict to the Bab al-Mandeb Strait and having the Houthis to close that choke point, which is just waiting to be closed, to be shut off. And that will take Western trade essentially back to age of discovery style navigation. And, vessels will have to go around the African coast. That will have a very disastrous effect to Western economy and Western trade. So I don't very much believe that a global scale war is bound to happen because, well, the U.S. doesn't have that kind of support in Europe. Europeans are way more concerned with the fall of Minister Mikhail Fedorov in Ukraine to join Trump in this Persian adventure. So I agree with the analysts that say that what we might have is a regional, very devastating, but regional war in the Middle East, entrenched warfare.
Sir, do these developments increase the risk of a wider conflict, or could they become part of a broader strategy of pressure and deterrence by both sides?
As I said, I believe that a more credible theory would indicate a regional conflict, and very much so because, as I said, the U.S. doesn't have an end game. It just wants to neutralize the revolutionary regime in Tehran, and while it is in a more comfortable position in the sense that it just has to, it just have to survive. It doesn't, of course, doesn't have the wherewithal to, neutralize the American threat. So they will have necessarily to work with proxies, analyzing the region, and that will be in itself terrible for the region. But we should not believe, and that's my last statement for this bulletin. We should not believe that we are going to see diplomacy, either, heavy dirty diplomacy in the sense of pressure and deterrence, because both countries necessarily, by the conditions of this conflict, will have to go for broke.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your analysis. Thanking us.